All right, I think we're done for the dubstep for today. I did not listen to it that far, so that took a turn. All right, awesome. Welcome back. I said yesterday that was the last session for reading, but I lied. Voila, we have one more session for reading, so that will be fun. Today is going to be slightly different. You will have quite a amount of good information, so let's jump into it. The first thing I want to start with is I will take this opportunity to do a quick Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions that haven't been answered so far, please put them into chat, and then we'll take about 5 to 7 minutes to answer any of those questions that you may have. This can be, try and keep them more about SAT related, but these can be any sorts of questions. So if you have questions about mathematics or writing or reading or how to study, or which Zoom link to join, it's so confusing. There's 2 links. Okay, question, can I be your mentor? Well, I'm hoping to be all of your mentors through this class. So that will be good. Are we going to practice session 4 of math, the portion of math without options? So I'm not going over the portion of math without options because that's how you were doing math before we sat together, right? You were doing the mathematics without looking at the options anyways. So that should be normal. That should be straightforward to you already. Normal education has already taught you that. What we touched on together was how to do the questions of math with options. So that's why I'm not going to do that. Is the essay optional or compulsory? So the essay is very much optional. However, I recommend to do the essay. Here's why. Because you don't want to find yourself in the future at a position where you want to apply to another college and you haven't taken the essay and it requires an essay. It's a small chance, but it's possible. The other thing is the essay is the last component of the SAT. So the part that matters is first, and then whatever remaining mental stamina you have, you just pour that all into the SAT essay. So doing the essay does not impact the rest of your SAT. That's why I recommend doing it. There's no harm, and it only sets you up for potential success in the future. Send the list of the writing rules. So the list of the writing rules, I want you guys to find them from online, the links that I've sent. There is no such thing as these are all the writing rules. Okay, the entire English language has a plethora of writing rules. The only thing you and I can do together is go through the practice tests and make a collection of ourselves of what are the writing rules that they've tested on in the papers that have been posted on Khan Academy. Outside of that, nobody can guess what will come on there, but I think that is a really good approach to doing it. Okay. What if you score low in the essay? Yeah, if you score low in the essay, hopefully the strategies we go through essay should enable you to score well. The essay is more intellectual and logical as opposed to like about your writing ability. So I think you should be fine. Okay. There are too many of them. What are we going to do? I'm not sure. For them, are there too many Master Skywalkers? Or I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Perspectives on MAI and MAA. Okay, this is a good question. We'll touch on that in a future class. When we touch, I think next week I will do one high-level intro class to mathematics. This weekend I'm sitting between AI and AA and going through the syllabus myself. So I will touch on that. I wish I had a lightsaber. That would be awesome. Do you recommend buying SAT workbooks to practice questions? So, let me turn this off. Okay, so 10 SAT papers on Khan Academy is way more than enough. You do not need more questions, okay? If you follow the process that we follow, the study approach that we have, then even within 3 or 4 papers, you should be ready for the SAT. But that means between each paper, you are doing the really intense studying that we talked about. Remember, for the mathematics, that means we'll touch on the study approach for today. But yeah, you should not need any more study papers outside of the 4 on Khan Academy. The universities that don't require an essay, does submitting an essay score disadvantage or advantage you? If it's a good score, it's going to advantage you. If it's not a good score, then I guess it will disadvantage you. But if it's optional, then I don't see, I'm not sure how to answer this question actually. Can the SAT be taken online? I don't think so. It has to be paper. Buying a vocab book for the SAT. This SAT does not test vocab. I would not study for vocab for this. Do we have class this weekend? There is no class this weekend. There is, however, a parent special on Sunday, a very important parent special on Sunday. I will be walking your parents through how to study for the SAT. I will be sharing the study approach with them. And I will also be sharing information about future guided classes, guided SAT study with me. I'll announce that at the end today. How important is the essay? The essay is only as important as the university's requirement. We've answered this question. How is the essay marked? We'll go over that next time. What is a good score for the essay? That's a good point. I will check that for next time also. The links for the parents is the same one. Yep. Same link for the parents as this class. Why did I want to become a mechanical engineer? I think it's a classic Indian story where I was good at math and I was good at science. And so my parents said, engineer for you. And so I was like, all right, I'll be an engineer. But then clearly I'm not doing anything related to engineering. So hopefully you should be able to decide better than my approach of deciding. Okay, thank you. I have here that above 20 and 21 is a good score for an essay. What am I going to do in the future? I am thinking of making this my profession. I am actually legitimately thinking of starting a tutoring business. Seems like you guys are enjoying it. I'm having a ton of fun, so why not? Okay, Sam is going to tell us a joke. You can be any type of doctor you want to be. Oh, is that the joke? Oh, no, I don't get it. Oh, this is bad. All right. All right, okay. I think these are okay. Now the questions are becoming Google-worthy questions. So you can put these questions in Google and find out your answers. Okay, I also want to say I have a ton of emails. I am very behind on my emails because I've been preparing for these classes and the essay section, which is very new. So I will get to your emails, I promise, but it will take time. It will take another 3 or 4 days. So please be patient with me. Okay, so I want to today start by sharing a couple stories. I want to tell you a couple stories about myself and my study approach. And my hope is that these stories help you determine the path that you take forward for your studying and for your classes in school. So the first story that I want to tell you is that when I was in high school, I thought I was the smartest human being on earth. I had the best math grade. I had the second best IB score in my school. I was the head boy of my school. I was the MUN Secretary General. And I was like, man, this can't get easy. Like I was at the top of the world. I applied to MIT. I applied to Stanford. I applied to all of the UCs. I applied to 21 different universities in high school. And when I got my results, I only got into 3 universities. I got into Georgia Tech. I got into University of Southampton in the UK. And I got into one more university. I don't remember which one, but only 3 universities. So and this was quite an awakening for me. And so then when I went to college, I was still thinking like, I'm the best, whatever, like MIT, they lost out on me. So then I made a bunch of friends. And the first week I remember I sat down with my friends and I was like, hey, why don't we do this activity where we, oh, there's a question. How old was I? I started university at the age of 16. So I applied when I was 15, which again made me think like I was hot stuff. But then I got down and I sat down with these friends at university and I said, all right, let's do a game. Why don't we all go around and tell our SAT scores? And I was like, I'm gonna have the highest SAT score. And so we went around and said our SAT scores between my 4 friends who are now like my lifelong friends. And my score was the lowest. And I was like, all right, fine, let's do it again. Let's go around and tell our IB scores. Let's do our IB scores. And so we went around and said our IB scores. And again, my IB scores were the lowest in the group. And this is important because I share this because it's very easy to think that we are the best thing in the world and we know everything when you're only comparing yourself to a population of your high school. But there's a lot of smart people in this world. And so what I took away from that immediately when I got to Georgia Tech, I took away humility. I realized that you know, everybody is different, and there's no point comparing yourself to other people and feeling good, because as soon as there's other people that are better than you, and then you start comparing, you'll feel bad. So there's humility needs to be learned. And this humility then actually really got driven home by the first subject that I took at Georgia Tech. I took this class called Physics 3, and Physics 3 had a requirement that you should do Physics 2 before. But thinking that I, you know everything, I went to the professor and I was like, listen, I don't need to do Physics 2. You give me a special override and I will take Physics 3. Physics 2 is like, it's too easy for me. So I took Physics 3, and then the first class they did what is called a triple integral. So you integrate something 3 times. And if you've done differentiation, you know how you do dy over dx? Well, they took the dy over dx and they split it. And you may not know this, or you may know this, but I did not know this. And they took the dy on this side and they put the dx on the other side. And I was like, what is going on? This is math I'd never seen before. And the entire class was just like this kinds of like, we were going through and proving out equation-wise, like we derived E equals mc squared. We derived the equations for what determines whether a molecule or an atom can go through a wall. Like if you shoot a molecule through a wall, it goes through it. We derived the equations for the wave particle duality. Like all of these equations we derived, like how Einstein and Newton and everybody did it. So this math was like really, really complicated. This was PhD math I was doing as a 16-year-old. And so I was like way above, like I had no idea what was going on. And so after that was the first time I went and I was like, okay, I need help. And I went and took help. So Georgia Tech has a lot of tutoring offerings. So I went and I got tutoring from Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech students tutor younger students. So I went and I showed up at tutoring for the first time in my life. And I was like, I don't even know how this works. And I got help. And then I remember this one kid in my class who had a ton of hair. Like we called him Jesus because his hair was like everywhere. And I went to him and he was really smart. And so I went to him and I was like, hey man, I saw him in the library one day. I was like, hey man, can you help me out with this homework? I have no idea what's going on. And then I had a friend of mine who I'd also convinced to do this. He was also from Singapore. So we struggled through this class together. And we asked for help. And we basically put our entire ego aside and we're like, you know what? We don't know anything. We've taken on too much. The professor even told us to drop this class and that this class is like, you know, not good for us. But we were too full of ourselves to listen to him. We're like, no, we got this. We can do it. So the second part of this is that from the humility came the confidence and the ability for me to go and ask for help without thinking that it's a judgment on my intelligence or a judgment on who I am. And that semester, I asked for so much help. I was constantly in tutoring, constantly getting people to help me out. And I was constantly learning. And I realized that I learned more that semester than I had learned, you know, before, because I finally put myself in the mentality to open myself to learn. I said, okay, I don't know, so therefore let me go learn. Until then, until in high school, it always been, oh, I know everything. I got this. This is easy. I know everything. So putting myself in the mentality of, I don't know, I'm ready to learn, taught me a lot. And it paid off. I got an A in that class. It took a lot of work, many sleepless nights of just me and my friends studying in the morning, but we put in the effort and we got the A. So this also then translates into one more thing, which I wanted to, actually two more. So then after graduation, actually, hold on, let me tell you one more thing. So when I entered college is actually when I figured out how to learn. I did not have it figured out before. I used to spend countless hours studying for mathematics for IB before, and I did not get a 7 in my IB math when I took it. And I spent countless hours studying because I hadn't figured it out. I also took the SAT twice. I struggled through with it. But in Georgia Tech, when I went there, that's when I cracked and figured out education and how to study properly. And that's what I've been imparting to you over the past 30 days. So what I'm telling you is the opportunity that you've gotten to learn these tricks and these approaches and these methods is a huge opportunity. I just want to tell you how huge it is. The rest of the world, the way they do education and SAT studying is if you get a math question wrong, they assume you don't know the content, right? Isn't that how all the tutoring centers around Singapore and Khan Academy and everybody do? If you get a Khan Academy question wrong, it tells you to go and study for angles and angle theory. But for somehow just the world doesn't see education this way. And I saw it. I saw what education is at Georgia Tech. And that's what I'm showing you, that I hope you take away and you give this, what we're talking about, I hope you give it importance, because nowhere else are you going to get this content, and no one else is going to reaffirm what you learned here. Okay, the onus is on you to take these lessons and really make it a part of your daily life and make the studying much easier for you. Okay, because the rest of the world follows this other approach, which is study hard and just keep doing tests and keep doing tests, but they forget the study smart approach. And it's only really like a very few people that do it. So I hope you are taking this as a very important knowledge, like putting humility aside. This is really, really important knowledge that very few people in the world have figured out. So I hope that you have taken these lessons. And if you haven't attended all of them, watch the videos till the end of the month. It's all available. This is this is knowledge you won't get elsewhere. Like, this is really different way of thinking of education. So the next story is after Georgia Tech, when I was graduating, I took the GMAT. The GMAT is the SAT for grad school. So I was trying to apply to Stanford and Harvard for grad school. And again, you know, biting off more than I can chew, but I said I'm going to take the GMAT and get a good score. So I was following my study hard approach and studying for the GMAT. And then I was in Germany at the time, doing a study abroad with a bunch of friends. And I don't know if you know Oktoberfest, but Oktoberfest is this festival that happens in October, obviously, and a bunch of people go out and party and they drink a ton of beer. So yeah, okay, you guys know Oktoberfest. All right. So I was taking the GMAT in the GMAT in October. And I was only in Germany till December. So that was my only Oktoberfest that I would get. And so my friends came to my door asking, "Hey, Polke, we're going today to Oktoberfest for the first day. It's happening this week. Will you come with us?" And I was so torn, but I told them, "I'm sorry, friends, I can't go. I'm taking my GMAT this week, and I really need to get it done." And I called my parents afterwards, and I told them, and I said, "Look, I really, really wanted to go to this festival. I'm never going to get a chance to go again this summer, maybe in the future, but I really want to go." But I said no because I don't want to look back on that opportunity and think I could have studied more. I could have done something more, and I didn't. Okay. So if you really are trying to be, you know, the top 1% in whatever field you are, or if you're trying to be the only one that gets into that university or that gets that grade, that means you also have to be the only one that's indoors and studying at that time. Okay. So it's easy to sometimes say, look, all my friends are out there partying and I'm here studying. But with that, when that flips over and you're the only one, you know, that gets into your dream school, then we're not complaining, right? So it's the same ratio. If you're the only one here that's putting in the work, you're the only one there. We've gone through 30 days. I'm not sure how many of you are actually following these approaches. How many of you are logging down the root cause of all your math problems? Okay, there's 100 people. I'm assuming maybe like 5 or 6 actually are doing it. And I hope that this changes the lives of those 5 or 6 students. I'm more than happy with that. But the question is, if you want to be that 1%, then you have to be that 1% that also puts in the work. It's not going to come to you without putting in the work. The effort has to be put in. Having said the effort has to be put in, I want to also tell you about my roommate freshman year, sweetest human being ever. He came from a family where his parents had never, he was an American Indian. His parents had never taken him to Taco Bell. He'd never gone to a beach. He had not listened to any like pop music on YouTube because sometimes, you know, the videos can be inappropriate, he said. So he was a very sheltered child. And he came to Georgia Tech and he would open his book and he would study so much, he would fall asleep with his head literally in the math textbook. He would fall asleep with the head in the math textbook. And one day I woke up and the book was on his face and he was like, "I'm trying to learn through osmosis." And I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And so this guy studied, he was the quintessential definition of studying hard. Amazing, amazing, amazing child. Really love him. But he had the approach to studying just as studying hard. And me, on the other hand, I don't want to make it sound like, you know, I studied all my way through Georgia Tech. Actually, I had a lot of fun through Georgia Tech. I would play sports every single day. I played so much squash and soccer and basketball. I went to all of the parties. I hung out with so many friends. But the thing was, because I had figured out study smart. So this doesn't mean that if you want to be the 1%, that you have to be the 1% that sleeps with your head in the book. Please don't take this as a takeaway. What I want you to take away is you are the 1% that figures out how it is that you study and how it is you approach the study. And then you are the 1% that actually follows through with it. every method that I've taught you is not easy. To do that takes a lot of effort. To think through 5 different ways of solving the same math question is much more difficult than the other people who are doing 5 math questions and finding only one approach, okay? So the things I'm teaching you are not easy, they're difficult, but they're the way to get the best grade and really like go ahead in front of everybody else. So to be there, you have to put in the work, but you have to put in the work smartly. So please really think, what's the approach that you're taking to studying, and what's the approach that you're following through with that study? Like, is it a smart approach, or is it only a study hard approach? And I hope you've seen that approach through every section, through math section, writing section, and reading section. So again, I want to close with just a summary, which is that in high school, it's very easy to think that we're the best thing in the world, but the world is a lot bigger than just high school. So please have the humility. And with that humility, have the mentality of, I want to learn more. Instead of having the mentality of, I know everything, have the mentality of, what more can I learn? And with that, you will see your learning growth, and your growth curve will look so much different because you've opened up yourself to it. And then study hard and be that only person that's in that room studying hard. When everybody else is either partying or doing 50,000 SAT questions, you're the one person in the room that's studying and doing that one question really, really well, so that you know how to do the questions in the future. Okay, I'm having a few messages. Let me read through these. Yeah, there's no age limit to apply, so you can apply whenever you finish college. I was lucky, I skipped a couple grades when I was young, and so you can apply whenever you finish college. Okay, someone's saying that I can't believe that you thought you were the smartest because I come across so humble. It's been a long journey. If you ask my friends, some of my friends that knew me from high school, I don't talk to them anymore because I was too full of myself at the time. So I'm not a friend that they want to have, which is perfectly understandable. So you don't want to be that person. Okay. Now, having said all of this, this is I've given you a lot of things, over these 30 days. So I want to do a quick recap of what is this approach, this 1% approach that I'm talking about that won't be talked about elsewhere. So this approach is, first of all, use Google. If you have a question, please just use Google. If you can be like that child that asked 300 questions to their mother, remember that fun fact? And you can be that child that then Google searched those 300 questions. My goodness, within 1 week, you will be the smartest person in the room. Okay, don't wait for information to come to you. You have Google at your fingertips. You have Siri at your fingertips. You can just talk to Siri and ask Siri some of these questions. And even Siri can answer these questions for you, okay? So it sounds very silly sometimes when I get very silly questions asked to me on email sometimes. And I Google search and then I copy paste what I found on Google and send them back on email. So, and phrasing the question on Google, that's the key part. If you can do that well, then you will learn faster. If you can't phrase your question on Google, you will try 10 times and then you'll figure it out. Over time, you will learn how to phrase it on Google. Trust me, the smartest people I've met are people that just Google search whenever they don't understand. If you can't find it the first time, try again on Google. That's the first thing. In the math section, we talked about doing the reading questions. So you go through an entire paper and you read each question using the 5 approaches we talked about, right? Using the 5 methods. You have to do that if you want to avoid the second part question errors and misreading question errors. After that, for each question, you find at least three different approaches of solving the question, if not 5. If you can do 5, that's amazing. And this will really broaden your approach to mathematics. And this is where a tutor or a mentor or a big brother or a parent comes in. I love that question. I love the answer, Roshan. If you don't find it on Google, use Bing. That's hilarious. Anyways, so this is where the mentor and a tutor comes in, which is if you found 3 approaches, the mentor, brother, parent, it can be anybody, can help you find the 2 more that you're missing, okay? And that's where the growth happens. The growth happens when somebody else can show you a way that you hadn't thought of before. So something I always did in my Georgia Tech studying career was always study with friends. Studying with friends, as you've somewhat experienced through this environment, you learn so much from other people's, right? Not only other people's questions, other people's mistakes, other people's smart answers, you learn a lot. And so you can do this with a friend, mentor, tutor, it can be anybody, but have somebody push you further, find more ways to solving the math question. So this is mathematics. Again, this is not going to be talked about anywhere else. So This one chance I'm giving it to you again. I want you to internalize it and please follow it. This will really make a difference in your mathematics, not only in SAT, but elsewhere. The next thing is for writing. For writing, we talked about memorizing the rules. I'm not going to give you the rules. I want you to Google search and find those. I Google searched, and that's how I made my list of rules. I studied for the SAT. This SAT has changed since I took the SAT. Everything I'm teaching you has come to me from Google. Okay, this is not stuff I'm making up in my own head. It's come to me from Google. And now I'm able to teach it to you. So you have the same resource at your fingertips that I have. So each one of you here has the capacity to do this class and teach this class exactly the same way I have. I have not gone to any tutoring centers. It's only been me and Google and a bunch of Naman in the middle. So for the writing, memorize the rules. Once you have memorized this, answer each question. And for each answer, every single answer, which means A, B, C, D, all 4 answers, figure out how to disprove that answer. What is the incorrect grammar rule in that answer? That's where the growth happens. Okay, and for each one, check it with the answer before you move on to the next one. Check it with Khan Academy before you move to the next question. And the last part is, this is if you're really trying to be 1%, let's say you miss a modifier rule, then do that thing, download a passage and highlight every single modifier in that passage. And then get a brother, tutor, friend, or somebody to point out other modifiers you didn't find. I'm telling you, if you do that once with one passage, you will never miss a modifier again. Okay? So again, if you're ready to put in the effort and put in the work and do it this way, right? And tell me how it goes. So this is for math and writing. So let me now go over the study approach for reading. Okay, so we finished up reading yesterday. So what's the study approach that I recommend? In the reading section, the summary, you know, the first 3 lines are very important. Read those lines very carefully. You can understand a lot from it. Really put yourself in the situation when you read the summary at the top. And then I really can't stress this enough. This may sound silly to some of you. This may not sound silly to some of you, but you have to fall in love with the passage, okay? You have to use all of these techniques. You absolutely must fall in love with the passage. There is no faster and easier way of doing active reading than literally falling in love with the subject matter of the passage and imagining that the person that you love the most is the person that's giving you the passage, okay? Just, I hope how you intently listen to this class, if you can that intently listen and read the passage, you will retain so much from the passage. You won't even have to go back when answering the questions. Answering the question becomes so easy if you've done that first part. So fall in love with the passage. Then here's my 4-step approach, okay? Pick a friend, read the passage with the friend, okay? So that's the first part. Read the passage, fall in love, read the passage. Second part, have your friend ask you content questions on the passage. Like I ask you content questions, have the friend do that. Next, have the friend ask you, what did you learn from the passage? So, okay, sorry, content questions means like, you know, like when was this person born? You know, where did they go? Or how old is this person? Like silly content questions to just get you to imagine the passage in your head. Third thing, have your friend ask you, what did you learn from the passage? So learning is very important. Allow yourself to learn from the content of the passage and have your friend ask you, what else? What else? What else? Keep going. What else did you learn? What else can you remember? Look back over the passage again. What else can you learn by looking over it again? Okay. And then the 4th step is have your friend ask you some deeper meaning questions in the passage. Some things like in the Akira story, did Akira finally get married? Or in that story about, these take time to come up with, but you essentially want them to come up with some deeper meaning questions. They're not evident. And then you want them to ask that question, okay? And if this is a friend that is also doing SAT, then this is perfect because then you switch the next day and then you do it with them, okay? So this is the reading aspect. And then in the answering aspect, when you answer the questions, for each question, find the line evidence that supports the correct answer. Whenever you practice, find line support that connects to the answer. Akash, I love the question. Anyone wants to do this with me? This is amazing. I love this guy. Look at it, 1% already going out and putting the advice into action. So find support for the correct answer using the line evidence, and then find support to disprove the wrong answers. Whatever wrong answers there are, find the line evidence to disprove it. And then lastly, you want to classify the answers into the secret sauce. I think you will struggle to find evidence for the unsupported ones, right? The fake news ones. But for every single one, every single other one, you should be able to find line evidence quite easily. Okay, so I will show you my peer notes for the study approach for the reading. We've done reading, and I will show you my peer notes once. Please get ready to take a photo or get ready to take a screenshot, okay? These are my peer notes, and hopefully you're putting these, hopefully you're also learning how to do peer notes. Peer notes is like another huge, huge thing. Okay, so in reading, please take a photo of this. Okay, 10 seconds. You should have taken a photo or you should have taken a screenshot. Okay, so this is falling in love. 3 ways of falling in love. Focus on the learning. Keyword analysis, evidence-based approach to eliminate answers, but also evidence-based approach to support the answers. Let me put this. If you really want me to spell it out, but that we've gone over this. Secret sauce, these are all the ones we have. And then most nearly means, okay, most nearly means remember context matters, substitute, search for a nearby clue. We've done this. Okay, moving on. If you want to go over the writing section, watch the videos. They're all online. All of these things are online. You should be able to just go online, go here, press pause, and write these notes down. We really don't need to go through this for so long. Okay, then the best evidence type questions. Check each answer for the evidence to catch any mistakes. Answer should support both the question and the answer. Again, we've been through this. This should not be new. Careful for near but not included. Don't get tricked. And the secret sauce, it works here also, okay? And this is what I went through today. What I just talked about today, this is the portion for studying for reading. Okay, I don't give viewing access to these notes because I want you guys to create these notes yourself. I really want you to type up these notes yourself. I don't want you to copy paste. In pure notes, I want you to take from this only those things that you don't know, okay? When we go through writing, in pure notes, you should only be writing down the stuff that's new to you. Pure notes is for you. Okay, I'm stopping the share now. The philosophy on pure notes is that pure notes are for you and they're made by you. If you've ever made a cheat sheet for a class, you will notice that just making the cheat sheet, you don't need it anymore because writing it down has committed it to memory already. So the portion of making the pure notes is actually the most important part of the pure notes. It's not the review later, it's actually the creation of it. And we've gone through the philosophy behind pure notes. Please, I want you guys to at least have 2 notebooks for every single class you ever take in your life. One book where you keep pure notes, things you didn't know before, and the other book where you do practice and scratch work, okay? You should never, ever cross it up. I have my pure notes from all my Stanford classes on my iPad, and I can go in and I can give you, within one day, I can give you a lowdown of everything I learned from a class. It would take me an hour each class because I have my pure notes right there. All of the practice stuff that we did, all of the exercises and stuff, I put it somewhere else. I don't need to review that later, okay? So pure notes is it's a very important philosophy that, again, for some reason people don't do. So again, I'm giving you a very important philosophy that I hope you are able to follow. Okay, I hope that my change of tone today, I hope it's not pushing you away, okay? I am sort of telling you how important this is. You know, I'm putting humility on the side a little bit today. So I hope you are able to see from that these things are important. This is very key information. So I want to do a quick poll. All the methods that I've talked about in class, or actually, sorry, before that, have you learned something from this class? Anything at all? Or have you gone through these classes? If you write yes, you have learned something. That's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, I think this is the first time ever that I've done a poll and I've gotten 100% response. There's always one or two of you that that like to put the other answer. So I think this is the first time I've gotten 100%. So this is amazing. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Now, the second question I want to ask is, we've been through so many different approaches, like so many different ways of like learn vocabulary through etymology, do secret sauce segmentation for reading. Like these are so weird, right? Sing Barney and have fun and smile and dance and fall in love. Like think that Barney is giving you the passage, like what you learned, and like all of these weird things, right? But I've always asked you as we went along, I've always asked you if it makes sense. We've even done meditation, right? But I've always asked you if it made sense. So I want to ask you once more, has the things, the concept that we talked about, the approaches we've talked about, has that made sense as we've gone through it? And by has it made sense, I'm saying, was it logical? Did you agree with my logic? Like, do you agree with the logic of falling in love with the passage? Do you agree with the logic of approaching the test with joy? Do you agree with the logic of, what else do we do? Of memorizing the writing rules by doing one passage and highlighting every modifier. Okay, great. So 96% of you have agreed with that, okay? So this is very key because as we walk out of here, 96% of you have found everything I've said to be logical. You have found the approaches that I've shared also to be logical. But the question is, how many of you are actually going to now go and put in the effort and follow those approaches? I don't know. I hope it's also 96% of you, and I think it's going to make a big difference. But I hope that you really internalize these and you follow these approaches because they won't be repeated again elsewhere. You're not going to find this anywhere else. And so maybe you can come back and watch these videos again if you want to remind yourself what it was. But I want to tell you this because logically it makes sense to you right now. So logically, I want you guys to tell yourself that I will now follow these approaches in my studying and do it because it makes sense to you. If it didn't make sense to you, you don't have to follow it. I'm not trying to sell you on my approaches. This is only if it makes sense to you, you do it. If it doesn't, there are so many approaches to studying. You are more than welcome to do any one of them. You don't have to do this. So for the next step, then the other thing I have for you is this weekend is International Day of Yoga, as set out by the United Nations. So Sunday is International Day of Yoga, and we are very lucky. We have an opportunity. So remember, we did one practice. We did the neck practice, right? There are about 4 or 5 practices, and in those 4 or 5 practices, if you do them, it only takes 5 minutes. Okay. So I do every day, I do at least an hour and a half of meditation and yoga every single morning. And that makes a huge difference in my concentration. We've talked about this, right? So many times that the only thing really in this SAT is, thank you, Surya Vishwanath, for answering that question. Okay, so the only thing in SAT is if you can improve your concentration and your ability to focus and pay attention, right? And then your mental stamina, you will do so much better, right? These questions are not difficult. This is not difficult information. Most of this is just about your mental stamina. And so yoga has a big impact on that. So we're very lucky. We have 3 sessions available this weekend. So I would like all of you to go and register for these. I will also send this out by email. Register for any one of these. After this class, I will be launching guided classes. So the intensive approach that I walked you through, I will be the mentor for you for those approaches. These will be paid because I am now graduating. I need to make a living and support, a family in the future. So I need to make income. So I will be doing paid classes. It will be limited people because I don't have unlimited time, but I will be the mentor that guides you through these steps, through the mathematics, through the reading, and through the writing. But that also means that if you sign up for these classes, you have to be ready to put in the intense amount of work. Okay, this is not going to be a cakewalk. This is going to take dedication. So I only want you guys to work with me if you're ready to put in the dedication, but also have fun through it. And if you do that, one aspect will be daily yoga. I want you guys to help yourself by increasing your meditation, increasing your concentration. This is one approach. If you can tell me another approach, you're increasing concentration, that's perfectly fine as well. But I want you guys to somewhere include something in your routine that increases your concentration. At the moment, the education system that we go through in the world does not increase our concentration. Okay, it just teaches us information and knowledge. There's no stress on our concentration abilities. So I will send this by email also, but I want you guys to pick, all of these are the same. I want you to pick any one of them, register for it, and attend all of it. And again, this is again one of those things, like all of it made sense. Even when I asked you that meditation makes sense for you to be better at SAT, all of you said yes. 95% of you said that makes sense, logical sense. So the question is now, what percentage of you are ready to put in the work and actually do it? Okay. If you want to differentiate yourself in your grade, you also have to differentiate yourself in the approach. So this is one part of it. The other part, we went through earlier on today. Okay. Now I'm doing a lot of talking today, but let's keep going. For the practice test, when you take a practice test going forward, I want you to take a practice test like it's the actual exam. What that means is, if you have booked a date, then you take the practice test on the same weekday at the same hour as your actual test. Okay, so if it's a Saturday at 3 p.m., then you will take the test every Saturday or on a Saturday at 3 p.m. So when you take the practice test, everything should be as similar to the test environment as possible. That also means you have to print out the paper. And if you can bind it somehow and do it, even better. You have to print it out. Don't do it on the computer. Quick yes, no question. How many of you have ever made a mistake in bubbling in the answers? Have you ever made a mistake bubbling in your answers in any test in the past? Like you put in the answer in question 12, whereas you wanted to put in for question 13, right? Okay. 80% of you have made a mistake bubbling in the answers, okay? So this is why this is so crucial. Like I can't stress this enough. Please do the test exactly how you would do it on the day. Take the test here, put the bubble sheet, download and print out a bubble sheet and bubble it in, okay? Get the practice. Sometimes you don't bubble hard enough, it's too light and the computer scans it and it doesn't go in, okay? So practice bubbling in hard. And then if you bubble in hard and you want to change it, you need to erase it. Those are situations you want to have practice with, right? Let's say you bubble B and you later on you realize the answer is D. So then you're erasing B, but you bubbled it so hard that you can't erase it, right? These are all situations you may run into on the test day, but the person that's prepared has already run into these situations in practice and has a plan of an approach to that plan, or has a plan, I guess plan and approach are the same words, has a plan to address that issue, okay? So it's very crucial you take the tests in the same way. That also means you wake up in the morning like you would on the test date, you eat the food, the breakfast that you would, a healthy breakfast that day. You don't want to eat too much wheat or processed food because that brings lethargy into the system. So you want to eat raw foods and drink like coconut water or fresh drinks, okay? And like treat it exactly the same. All right, so again, I'm going to ask you again, this is new. Does this make sense? Does this logically, the approach I've outlined, does it logically make sense to you? Okay, great. 99% of you agree with the logic. Great. And so then the question is again, how many of you are going to do it? This is difficult, right? It takes planning to do this. It takes preparation. So if you put in the work, this will pay off. Okay, now, what's the other thing? Test day. Oh yes, once you've done the practice test, do not do the next practice test until you have addressed all of the root causes, okay? If you have a list of 15 root causes that you took away from a practice test, do not do the next practice test until you have learned and addressed all of the previous root causes. It's just a waste of your time, all right? The growth does not come in doing the practice test. The growth comes in addressing your growth areas, right? Your areas of improvement. There's no point doing the test again and again and again and again if you're not learning anything from it. So please do not do the next practice test And if your parents are forcing you to do it, have them call me. Please just have them call me and I will tell them this. But you should not be doing your next practice test until you have fixed and learned all of the root causes, all right? Which means that initially you may need 2-week break between practice tests. And I'm telling you, if you do this, you will not need to take the test more than 3 or 4 times. You really don't need to study more than that. 10 practice tests on Khan Academy is way more than enough if you follow this approach properly. Okay. Let's see, what are the questions here? So there's a question around what are the topics of the passages. You can find this online. You can Google search this. Okay, how do you keep away from distractions? This is a really good question. So a really good approach that I sometimes want to follow or can follow is the Pomodoro Approach, which is 25 minutes of studying, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of studying, 5 minutes of break. The thing is, your brain is also a muscle. It gets tired if you use it too much, but also like a muscle, you train it, it gets better. So don't be like my roommate who falls asleep on his book because he's overworked his muscle. Be smart about it. If you're tired, take a break, go take a walk, go exercise. Exercising or like doing the neck practices has a really tremendously powerful impact on your body. It excretes a lot of chemicals in your body that bring joy to the system, bring aliveness to the system. It fights away sleep. If you even exercise, it fights away hunger. If you've noticed, when you work out, you're not hungry immediately afterwards, because it releases a chemical that suppresses hunger. And usually what happens is when people study, they get hungry because your brain is bored and your brain wants something to be joyful about. So it wants to eat, because eating also excretes chemicals in your body that make you happy. So you want to fight that urge. You really want to train this body like a muscle. Like, this is your body and your mind are a temple. You want to treat it like that. You must train it as so. So that approach is helpful. But for distractions, like if you're studying too hard, like go out and have fun. Having fun is a huge part of this. You have your friends, like hang out with them, go play sports, like play Scribble.io or something, or whatever. Like I spent 2 hours this morning playing Codenames and Scribble.io with some of my friends. So you want to have fun. If you're tired, you need to recuperate. You cannot keep going if you're tired, right? You've all seen videos of marathon runners that keep going and they fall and they hurt themselves, right? Playing PUBG. If you play PUBG, that's a tough one, man. I've spent way too many countless nights playing PUBG because I was too addicted. I don't like to do anything that gets me addicted, because then it's tough to pull myself away. There was a point where I would close my eyes and I could like see the guy falling from the bus, onto the map, because I had played it so much. So you want to try to control the kind of entertainment you take in, which is why I also don't like watching TV shows also. They also put you into one after the other. It's very difficult to go back from it. Do I regret not going to Oktoberfest after the GMAT? Absolutely not. Once my GMAT was done, I went and Oktoberfest was still going on. And I went and I partied and I had a fun time with all my friends. And my friends, and then I got into Stanford. And then Stanford called that time in Germany. And with my same friends, we went out and we celebrated that I got into Stanford. So not going to that one Oktoberfest made no impact in my life whatsoever negatively, but it brought a huge, huge blessing into my life. That moment, like that call, really changed a lot of things. So absolutely, I don't regret not going to Oktoberfest. Time management on the SAT. This is such a difficult one. It's a muscle. The more you practice doing questions, the faster you'll get. The more you practice doing this approach of falling in love, this difficult approach, the more second nature it becomes. And actually, I think we will have a guest lecture on this next week. So we will touch on that next week, on how to do that. What did I do during my SAT breaks? Yeah, SAT breaks, I would honestly recommend you to do the neck practices. Do those yoga neck practices. That will help a lot. Have a food with sugar in it, like chocolate. That will help a lot. Like run in the spot, listen to pump up music, like go into nature. Like if you can in the place, like look at nature, look into the sky and look into the sun. Aparna, again, how long are the breaks? You just Google search this. You can find this stuff on Google. Okay. I have some university questions. University questions I am not answering right now. I will do those. I will find a way to do those later. University application questions I'm staying away from right now because I applied to university 8 years ago. So I want to make sure the information I give you is correct. But I will share an approach sometime in the future, I think. If you can't find yourself loving the passage, what can you do? Love the passage. It's literally it. Just fall in love with it. Try harder. If you can't do it, no matter how hard you try harder. I would say realistically, you should start a month before the SAT of doing intensive study. The guided study plan that I am going to take a few students through will be the month prior to the SAT. But this depends. You can do this right now. If you register for the August one, you can do that. If you've not registered for August, like you have October or December, that's more difficult because you have school going on. So there you can do 2 months. But this question of how long to study should be based on you. Like when you take the test, you have the list of root causes. Once you fixed it, you do it again, you have another list. As soon as that list becomes 0, there's no root causes, then you're good, right? You're ready. You're not going for perfect. There are some things that the test may just be beyond your understanding. You're like, I don't know how to do this. There's no root cause. This is not a question I'm going to get, which is fine. That's okay. Okay. You're not going for perfect. So once you reach that point, once you reach the point where you know that there's no silly mistake, there's no second part question mistake, there's nowhere where there's something you could have improved, then you're done. Then you're ready. So this depends. How you could do this in 2 weeks. If you study really hard, you can learn all of the information in 2 weeks. Okay, what was the lesson that I learned after taking the test twice, which was study hard for the first time. Don't take it 2 times. It's a complete waste of time. If you're taking the test twice, what that tells me, and I'm going to be very honest here, if you take it twice, what that tells me is you're not a dedicated student because you didn't study hard enough the first time. That's what it tells me. And I'm not sure if universities take that away, but if I was there, that's what I would take away. If you just study hard enough the first time, you don't need to take it again. Like if you put in the dedication, you're taking the IB test once, you're taking IGCSE once, right? So why is SAT a different beast? It's the same thing. It's just a test. It's an easier test, right? SAT is easier than the IB and the IGCSE. So you take those ones. So the approach to that should be exactly the same. Just study for it once. There's no point doing it twice. It's a complete waste of time, and it shows that you didn't prepare properly the first time around. Now, of course, this puts aside, all of the freak accidents that may happen. But again, if you prepared for it, if you've done the test conditions, there should not be any freak accidents that happen on the day. You should know exactly what kind of pencil to use, where to sit. Hopefully you're not taking it where I took it in India and the table is slanted for you, because I don't think anybody can prepare for that. I don't even know how I'd prepare for a slanted table with holes in it, but anyways. Okay, couple announcements for the last bit, which is there is a parent session this Sunday, right? Please have your parents join. I will be going over the study approach with them, telling them to have their kids only take the SAT once and walking them through the process of don't take the practice test numerous times. Only take the next practice test once you have done the studying. Parent session this Sunday is also when I will announce registration for guided study with me. Those are limited. And so it's limited. So please register for it quickly. The only way I can make this fair is first come, first served. Once you do register for it though, I will call you. I will sort of do like an interview process because I want to make sure your learning style matches with my teaching style. Like if these classes have been too fast for you, then potentially it's not going to be a good match. Okay. I will not be going through content. So if you have content issues, again, it's not going to be a good match. I'm focusing on style, not content. Content can be learned on the internet. So I will send you links and information that you can learn and read yourself. But if you want me to sit down and teach you how to do angles and teach you the writing rules myself, I'm not going to do that. So if this approach works for you, if this class works for you, then sign up for it. I will do a call with you to make sure that this works. And only then will we then continue working together. So it will be announced on Sunday in that class. So if your parents come, and this will be paid. Yes, this will be paid. Okay, we have 4 minutes left, and I think I have only one more thing left to do here. So let's see, are there any good questions? Session with parents is same time, 4 p.m. on Sunday. Same Zoom link. Session with parents will not be paid, no. The one-on-one will be paid, yes. Okay, there will be more information about the one-on-one classes online. I will send out a link and you should be able to register for it. Oh, there was another question above, yes. So next week, what are we doing next week? Next week, we're gonna do the essay. I think we're gonna spend, 2 days in the essay. I would recommend joining for that because it may even help you with the reading section. So I would recommend, up to you if you want to join. We will then have someone very special come in and help us look into how to train our brain to approach the time aspect of the SAT and why practice helps and how to do that. So that will be, I think, on Wednesday. We will have one session where I think I will go through a really cool, I'm not sure if it's going to be one session, but cool math concept. I want you to test out if my style of teaching mathematics works for you, because I will also be putting out paid classes for mathematics going forward. And so if you join next week, then you'll be able to see my mathematics style. If it works for you, then great. Again, I move fast. If I'm too fast for you, then it may not be the best fit. But you can see that style next week. And yeah, this will basically a trial session. And there will be a computer science class also. Can I ask you one thing? I really want you all to join for the computer science session, even if it doesn't interest you. Computer science is very, very, very important in the world. I cannot stress to you how important it is. All of my friends that are doing CS have great jobs and are doing really cool things. And even if you're interested in economics or biology or physics or PE or music and arts, all of those things are now in computer science, right? Physics, like all of quantum computing is done through simulated in computer science. I took a class on that. Business is also related to computer science, like doing the data analysis behind, like, for example, who attends these classes? I do analysis and no one's helping with the analysis. That's all like coding and on the computer and Excel skills, computer science. Biology is also like all of the gene editing and all of the simulations for drugs. All of that is done in computer science and using computers. Music also, like all of auto-tune and all of those things is also done using computer science. So computer science is very important. You don't need to know it your own, but you need to understand at least what it is because it's very important. All these classes are not paid. Next week is not paid. The only thing that will be paid is the one-on-one teaching and the future math class I will put out. These sessions at 4 p.m. will remain unpaid. Okay, so the only last thing I have for you is I'm going to play some music on the way out. We will continue the Friends theme. Let's see what happens. Hopefully it becomes melodious again. If not, then you guys just listen to dubstep on the way out. Hopefully I see you back next week here. Great, so I will share this music on the way out. Wow, I didn't share my screen all day today. That's okay. All right, dubstep.